Welcome to Plans Are Booked, a podcast for every reader. I'm Molly Geller.
And I'm Caitlin Madison. Welcome to chapter 118, my old room number when I was a classroom teacher. We have a very, very awesome book to discuss today. I'm really excited. I took notes. I'm ready. I'm English major ready for this one. But we need to catch up on what we've been up to. So, Mol, do you want to kick it off?
Sure. So I am in a spring/summer is coming state of mind. I am currently sitting in my house in Hull on the South Shore of Massachusetts. It has been sunny and gorgeous for the last 2 days. I have been doing yard work. I have put all my deck furniture out. My favorite seasonal restaurant here called The Local, which is at the A Street Pier, is open for the season, serving what I believe to be the best mudslides available.
Already invited myself to do that the other day. I was like, Molly, I need a mudslide. When am I coming?
Totally. So I am just excited that it feels like we've turned the corner. Yes, there will be more rain. Yes, there will be more dreary days, but I feel like we can put the shovels away. We can put the heavy coats away. Like spring has sprung and I'm feeling it.
My Uggs have a spot near the door so that when I take Connell out, I just have a pair of shoes ready to roll. And I've been afraid to put them away because I feel like I'm going to jinx it or something. And I still haven't done it. And I was thinking about doing it this weekend and also bringing some heavy sweaters down to my storage in my basement. And I was like, I don't know. I just don't know if you can do it. That could be a really bad idea. What if you fuck it up for literally everyone in Massachusetts? Because this is how my Red Sox curse, sports fanatic, freakazoid, St. Patrick's Day, superstitious brain works. I'm like, if I do that, it's going to be my fault. What? It might also be a Catholic guilt thing. I'm not positive, but it's a bad mix of all of those things.
I too kept my snow shovel by the front door, honest to God, until about a week ago, because I thought if I put this away, I'm taunting Mother Nature.
And I've already mowed my lawn last week. It needs to be mowed again. And I'm like, I really think it's probably all right. The bugs are starting to come out, but I still get nervous because we can't go back. We just can't go back. And I've got to be honest, Molly, today I was getting dressed and it's only going to be a high of 60 today. So I put on a long sleeve shirt and I was like, I am so over long sleeve shirts right now. I don't want to wear them anymore. I'm sick of all of my clothes. I'm ready to transition into something new. Napa was a little bit of a, it was 70 every day. And we were like, oh my gosh, and I'm ready to go to those clothes. And then next week I leave for my trip for Vegas.
That's right.
I'm going to see No Doubt at the Sphere. It's going to be 100 every day. I might die. I might actually melt into a puddle. I ordered from Costco. It's called the Chill Pill, which I think Dyson made. It's Shark or Dyson. Apologies to both of them if they ever want to endorse us. But whoever makes the Chill Pill, I bought it from Costco because it was on sale. And it's like a fan, but also has a cooling aspect to it. And it has a crossbody strap on it, and you can bring it to music festivals or whatever you're going to. And I'm like, am I going to be the girl walking down the Las Vegas Strip with a Chill Pill? Because I might be. I've already got my Thigh Society cooling shorts ready to roll. I've already picked out some dresses that I think won't show sweat. And I'm just like, I might be the girl with the Chill Pill. But you know what? People will be jealous. It's fine. I'm going to set the tone. You know what I mean?
I'm so excited for you because this is your first time in Las Vegas. And for listeners who might be new to the show or haven't heard me talk about this before, I used to be on the PR agency team for Zappos, which is headquartered in Las Vegas. And I used to go constantly, every 6 to 8 weeks. I love it there. I have stayed in so many beautiful hotels, eaten in so many delicious restaurants, gone to epic concerts and Cirque du Soleil shows. When people say to me oh, I hate Las Vegas, or I can never imagine going to Las Vegas, I'm like, cease speaking to me about this. I'm never going to agree with that. I think you can see a gross side of Vegas if you want to, and if that's how you choose to spend your time, or you can do it as a stunning, beautiful, everything is glitzy and over the top experience, which is what I think you're going to have. And the truth is that you aren't going to be outside that much
I know.
because
That's what people keep saying to me. They're like, it's an indoor Sydney. You're going to be fine. And people have even said that the sphere is like on the cooler side. Shout out to Erica. I was asking her about it because she's gone a couple times. And she's not the only person. Like, I've been on Reddit as well because I do get motion sick. So we researched like what section of the sphere is best for people that might get that. I'm definitely going to take a Dramamine. And I've been to other shows like that. Like, I went to a Beyonce experience at the Museum of Science. I've been to a couple of other things. And like, there were parts where I just had to close my eyes. It's like, it's going to be fine. But people have said they keep it pretty cool in there because they don't want people to pass out. So that's like reassuring that I'm not going to be like hot and bothered in this like very overwhelming three-dimensional space.
I think you're going to have an amazing time.
Yeah, my brother has been a couple of times, and he's like, Caitlin, the people watching alone, you're going to have a blast. He's like, you like to low key gamble, like you're going to have a blast. You like fancy stuff, you're going to have a blast. And my brother is a foodie like we are, and he's like, the food scene's unbelievable. I would be shocked if I don't like it. Am I going to want to go all the time? No, but I could see myself being like, the next time somebody else has a residency, like I might plan a trip. I would never go if I didn't have tickets for something, I don't think. I think I already know that about myself, even though I haven't been yet. I think that, like, and I kind of feel that way about New York City too. Like, I have people to visit there, but like, I usually plan it around I'm attending something. And it feels like that kind of place you go because you're attending something and then, you get to eat some good food and see some wacky people while you're at it. I'm also going with my friend Julie, who has an aunt and uncle that live there. So she's been like a million times and she's already told me like these are the casinos we're going to go in so that you can see the lobby and we can take a photo and then we can leave. Like, she already knows, okay, K-Mat's going to want to see this, that, and the other thing, and like all of that. And then my brother was telling me that the sports book thing is really cool there and that I should like experience that, which I wish the Celtics were still in the playoffs because
Yeah.
that would have been sick. But it is what it is and I'll survive. I've been doing a bunch of reading. In a future episode, we're going to be talking about the off campus series. I just finished the first book of that because the show is coming out. My parents are on their way back from Florida, so I'll be seeing them soon, which does feel like the start of summer to me, like because they'll be back and then I'll be going to the Cape more and all of that. But it's really just been, trying to get my house in order before I go on this trip. And Steph and I had an epic last Friday. So Steph loves this store Midnight Lunch, as do you, that's in Jackson Hole. And they're doing a pop-up, and that was like a blast. And I made these really cool sweatpants. Like, I designed them, and then they have this like press thing that like seals the decals onto whatever you pick. They have totes, they have hats, they have sweatpants, they have sweatshirts. That was really cool. And then there's a lip lab pop-up, and that was really cool. And I got to design my own lipstick, which was amazing. And then they have a laser
Like an
engraver
engraver. Yeah.
that you can pick a little logo and you can like do your initials or whatever you want to do. And you can go to the regular lip lab and it's like, I think it's probably like a 90-minute experience. This is like instead of like 60 shades to pick from, there's like 8. And then there's like 5 different scents that you can pick from. And then you can make it sheer or matte. And you can pick what color the lipstick case is going to be. And they do it in like 10 or 15 minutes. It's not like an all day, whatever. So that was really cool. And that was basically where my attention span was at, because she was like, if you want the full deal, like the lip lab is right down the street. We're like the express pop up. And I was like, this is, I think, a good gateway drug. So we just had like a great time. And then we ate Korean food. It was just awesome. It was a great time. I was really over April, to be honest. Napa did not help. I'm not going to lie about it. That really cooked me.
Just to your point about like April, I feel like it really crushed our spirits because usually I find Marathon Monday in Boston is the turning point where you really start to feel like, okay, spring is here and we're ready. We just did not get that this year in the month of April. And I had forgotten what it felt like to feel warm, to feel the sun on your face, to drive with the windows down, to wear an open-toed shoe. Like, these are things we had not been doing. And when you and I went to Napa and we got to experience that beautiful weather every day for 4 or 5 days, it was like, oh, right. Like, this is what it's like to not feel that like drudgery getting dressed to go out the door. And I feel always that my like dress up wardrobe is so much more fun and cute for the warmer weather months. The dresses and the fluttery tops and the cute shorts, and like, we just, that process of the switchover has been so delayed this year that I forgot. I just felt like winter was our permanent mode.
I don't, unless it's socks that I wear to the gym, I don't want to wash any more socks. I'm just done with socks. I don't like them. Never have. I mean, I love New England. If I didn't have the seasons, I don't even know. It would feel like time wasn't passing by. I think it would actually really mess me up. But I've got to say, like a long winter that has like a lot of snow really does it to you and makes you question like why the hell you're still here. And like I know this about myself that I don't want to live anywhere else. Like I know that we live in this like very academic, very liberal place where people are savvy and make good decisions, and we have like tons of rights, and like women make a lot of money. Like there's a lot of good things going on here, so like I'm not going anywhere. But like we can't have a wet April after like multiple feet of snow. Like it's not fair. Like just cut back on that. You can have a week or two of the April showers. You can't have a month. It's too much. Everybody was feeling it. I feel like every other Instagram video, people were just like shitting on the weather, having a hard time, and like all the spring sports are starting here, and everybody's like, oh, every other game's been canceled for my kids, like all of the outdoor stuff that we do with our kids like hasn't been able to happen. And I'm like, god. So hopefully this is it. This is our momentum. It's
I think
happening.
so. I'm feeling really good about it. And last night I went out with a friend from Wheaton, actually, to a restaurant in Cohasset here on the South Shore, and they have this awesome outdoor patio, but it's not open yet. So we were
Mm,
in the restaurant, we like had a great meal and delicious wine, like fabulous. And when we walked out at the end of the meal, he was like, I can't wait until we're sitting out here instead of in there. And I was like,
totally.
yes, bring on all the al fresco meals.
Yes, totally. And it's honestly, it's a small window in Massachusetts for that because it gets super buggy and it gets super humid. I'm really selling Massachusetts right now, but like there's a certain point where like people ask like, would you like to sit inside or out? And it's like I don't want to sweat my whole meal, so like at a certain point you got to go inside. So May and June are like where the alfresco really shines, and like we need it. And like I gotta tell you, Cinco de Mayo really crushed my soul because it was like 70 degrees and amazing, and I was at work all day, and I was like, it just rained like the whole effing weekend. And now it's Cinco de Mayo and it's 70, and I should have a margarita in my hand, and I'm sitting at my stupid desk in this dumb dental office. Ugh. So, anyways, but I think this weekend so far seems we're gonna get a little bit of rain, but like not a ton. I think it's gonna be great.
My whole thing is, if I'm not on a client Zoom, like I'm just doing writing projects and responding to email, I am sitting on the porch. Like, every free minute that I can sit in the sun on the porch with my laptop, I'm doing that. I feel like the vitamin D, it heals me. Like, it just makes me happier, more energetic, more excited to face the day. I just, every chance I can, I'm sitting. I mean, you have a beautiful deck also. I I really feel like it's a huge mood booster being able to sit outside.
Should we talk about our book?
This is a hot one. I'm
Yeah.
really, really excited for this conversation.
Okay. So today's episode is about Emma Brodie's Into the Blue. She lives in Martha's Vineyard, so I love repping a masshole on the pod. And I have to tell you, Molly, I had that book at work like a week or so ago, and my brother goes, what an inviting cover that book has. I was like, really? He's like, "What is that one about?" And I was like, "Let me tell you." So I think I almost have him convinced to read it, even though he was a little deterred by the a love story that's like underneath the title, which it is a love story, but this isn't like a romance book by
No.
any means. Like it is not that. And so if anybody is feeling intimidated by that, or they're like, oh, this is going to be smut or like whatever, I'm here to tell you this is literary fiction at its finest. And I don't even know where to start with this book. It spans what, 20 years of time, I want to say.
Yeah.
Um it starts when the main characters, AJ, who's a girl, and Noah are 17 and 21. And they live out in the Berkshires of Massachusetts, and they work at a video store. And over the course of one summer, they become like inseparable. And he is from a very famous family of actors. And he's living with his great aunt, who happens to be on AJ's favorite TV show of all time called The Aeronauticals, which was like an improv comedy show, I want to say in the 1960s. And she's like obsessed with it, like to the point where she takes notes on it, writes fanfic about it, like has a live journal going, like the whole nine yards. And then she ends up working with this, great nephew of one of the actors, and essentially, the great aunt takes it upon herself to help them find themselves as improvisational actors because she thinks they both have it in them to do that. And she also believes in like a cosmic, whatever you want to call it, that like some people are like meant to be scene partners, and that they have a connection that doesn't even need words necessarily. They just have an understanding with each other. And she had that with her husband, who was also on Aeronauticals. And you just see AJ and Noah like figure out this dance of how to be improvisational actors, how to understand each other in a scene. And then there are these time jumps throughout the book where you see them at different points of their careers. And AJ kind of convinces herself that she should be more of a writer and behind the scenes. And Noah continues on the acting path. And they kind of bump into each other and weave in and out in kind of like a When Harry Met Sally sort of style. And it's like when they're together, it's magic. And when they're apart, they're kind of miserable, but like can't totally put their finger on why slash won't give into it. And so there's this like push and pull and tug, and it sounds like it could be aggravating, and it is at certain points, but like in a really understandable way. I just have to say, like, I think that this one is for the history books. Like, I think people are going to be talking about this book for a really long time. And our connection to Emma Brodie, who we did an episode of her first book, Songs in Ursa Major, in chapter 30 of our pod, I took a class with her during COVID. She's in the publishing world, and she was offering this online class. I can't even remember how I found it, but we were in the depths of the internet during COVID. Like we were looking for things to do. And she was offering this online Zoom course on how to like pitch your book, how to pitch yourself, how to write a good blurb for your book, how to, what people are looking for. And she spoke from experience. It was like she was really funny. It was like very organized. I still have all the documents from it because I found it really helpful in just like how you outline things and think about your book in different ways, and how other people are going to see it, and how it should be received by other people that aren't your friends. I bought her book like right away after I took the class because I thought she was great, and we loved it. I passed it along to you guys, and I was like, I think you guys should read it. And then we did an episode on it. So we've been like on the Emma Brodie train for a long time.
Just before you continue,
Yeah.
I was trying to remind myself, I knew I loved Songs in Ursa Major and I recommended it to so many people, but I read it in 2024. So I was trying to remind myself, like, what were my feelings and what happened when I finished that book? I just want to read you my Goodreads review live in the moment when I hit 5 stars. I wrote, I loved this book. I felt Jane's fire and Jesse's brokenness. I rooted for them individually and hoped they would find their way back to each other. Emma Brodie's writing is beautiful. Her word choices conjure the most specific images. This story made my heart sore and also shattered it. If you liked Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, you should absolutely read this. Now, what's interesting about that, you could say a lot of the same things about Into the Blue.
Yeah.
That it makes you feel hope. It makes you feel like you could meet someone who really sees you.
Mm-hmm.
And it also breaks you down over and over and over again. I think that she has a very special gift for sharing the reality of loving a person, which is not always like sunshine and rainbows. And in this instance, in Into the Blue, she is an improviser herself. She lived that experience and knows what it's like to find that aha moment on stage with another person. I don't think anyone without that experience could have written this book. And I knew that about her before I started reading it. And I kept thinking to myself, only she could do this.
Mm-hmm.
Only she could describe this in this way. And I think sometimes we talk about a book being singular and that there's nothing else like it. Like when we talked about Margot's Got Money Troubles, we were like, where did this come from? Like there's nothing else out there like this. With Into the Blue, it felt singular to me in that it was a specific feeling inside of a specific setting with a specific person. And only, I deeply believe only she could have written this story based on her actual life experience.
The reason that I told my brother that I think he should read it, and I told a couple of other guy friends as well, is because I feel like there's a really good balance between the female main character and the male main character in terms of how much they're in the book and how much you're seeing what they're doing. And I really feel like I don't know what her intentions were when she started writing this book, but it feels to me like she wrote a love letter to everyone who had a first love that still resonates with them and maybe it didn't work out on the first go. And for me, it really brought me back to a time and a place where I was like, oh my gosh, I remember like being 17 and feeling this way. And I remember being in my 20s and feeling this way. And I can't imagine if at every point in my life it ended up coming back to the same person. That would just like, it would be so intense and it would also be fascinating, like, because I just feel like the boys, I'm saying boys because why not? The boys that I liked, had feelings for, had relationships with when I was younger, like, I can't go back to them. Do you know what I mean? Like, I outgrew them, and in some ways, or in other ways, it was like, this isn't good for me anymore, and I just need to like move on because it's not happening. And I can't imagine like 20 years of time, this person still popping up and still everything coming back up like the way it always was. Like, I can't imagine that. And she portrays it in this absolutely stunning way that also has moments of like being irritating and like their communication isn't so hot and like they are struggling to agree on certain things, but they get in this like improv world and everything just clicks and they both like audibly sigh and they're like, gosh darn it. And it made, you know what it made me think of, Molly? It made me think of Normal People, the book and the show, when they keep saying to each other throughout it, it's not like this with other people.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think anything since Normal People has made me feel that same way of like, these two people were meant to be together. They're always going to find each other. They need to just get it together. Like, it just need, like, it's always going to be them. Like, it's not, no one, it's not the same with other people is basically what I kept thinking of. And
I'm smiling as you've been
it's just so
saying this
good.
because there's only one page I wanted to read out loud from this whole book, and it actually describes, I think, what you just said. So this is, post working in the video store. AJ's been living in New York for a while, and It says AJ was in her third season writing for SNL when the green note card with Noah Drew's name appeared on the bulletin board. He was set to be the host of the last episode before Christmas, capping off the media for his Oscar bid, a period epic called The Contract. She had known this day would come since the ink had dried on her own contract. It felt inescapable, like the Earth coming full circle in its orbit. The night before his arrival, she dealt with her dread by watching Center Stage and getting plastered. She arrived at work the next morning, plagued by a pounding headache and the song I Want to Be With You by Mandy Moore. As AJ dropped her backpack in the office, she shared with Dave on the 17th floor of 30 Rockefeller Plaza. She felt a traitorous tremor of excitement. She hadn't laid eyes on Noah since their brief publicity tour, well, not in person anyway. Over the past 3 years, Noah's star had continued its unstoppable upward trajectory from another season of Sparta into an edgy indie film, then a blockbuster comedy, and now The Contract. It was a good old-fashioned gangster flick, the story of a 1950s murder Inc. hitman caught between loyalty to his boss and the girl of his dreams, a mob daughter who had inherited Vegas's largest casino. Noah's performance had been exquisite. AJ was also doing fine. In fact, she had done her high school self proud. She was a staff writer on Saturday Night Live. She lived in New York City. She had an apartment with a dishwasher and a nice boyfriend who emptied it. Yes, these days life was pretty great. Yet all it took was one look at Noah's shape across a crowded Monday pitch meeting to turn back the clock.
Yep. Been there, done that. You know, and like I have to say, like I think one of the best accolades you can give a writer is like I felt it in my bones. I felt it in my bones. It resonated with me. I've been there. I've done that. You know, all of those things, right? And for somebody to be able to encapsulate that in writing and have people smirking and nodding along, like, yep, I know exactly what she's talking about. I think that that's like the biggest like hug, high five you can give to somebody.
Totally. I also think this book is a lot about fandom. AJ has a deep fandom for this cult classic show. And not only does she have the fanfic era, which you described earlier, but eventually winds up being on camera in basically a reboot of this famed show. And they wind up doing Comic-Con type events all over the country. And I thought that was such an interesting decision that she sort of went from the fan on the outside to being someone people are a fan of, and that she got to have that experience as her career kind of, took different turns. And even though Noah was always going for the spotlight and always going to have those kinds of moments with fans, she didn't think she ever would. And it was really interesting to see her inner monologue in those moments where they would be signing photos or have a line at their table. And even as the crowds got bigger, she sort of didn't believe that people really wanted to see her or hear from her, and that she was kind of the background person. And I think in the final third of the book, when she and Noah take the stage together again, it's like she finally lets herself be great at it. And she has a different purpose, which we can talk about. But I liked her evolution from I'm just a nerdy, quiet girl who's obsessed with this thing in the privacy of my bedroom to maybe I can help people feel something with my performance.
It is a really cool character arc in addition to watching how their love story unfolds, turns, twists, sputters, reignites, all of the things.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've seen online, like on social media, like some of the memes and merch that's being made.
I have not.
So I will be purchasing something or having one of my friends that has a Cricut make something for me, because we both know that I found the merch for Heated Rivalry to be unsatisfactory. So I've had to, crowdsource. There are so many people that are memeing and making stuff that says hair dryer, hair dryer. And it's a nod to an improvisational game that the aunt has them play where they have to have entire conversations and do entire scenes where they can only use the word hair dryer. And they actually can do it because that's how like cosmically connected these two are. And it's about body language, it's about reading people's faces, it's about tone of voice, like it's about all these things. And it's such like a fun inside joke for everybody that's read the book that I just love it. And like I'm the type of person that like really likes the niche nods to things. Like I just think that that's so fun because then when people see you in the wild and you're wearing it, they're like, I got you. I know who you know what I mean? It's for the hardcore people. So I definitely will be getting something that says that because it's awesome. And I have to say, like, as a New England girly, like her first book basically took place at the equivalent of like Newport Folk Fest. And then this book had this big tie to the Berkshires. I'm just like, I love that, like, I know those places and that it's like another cool connection to have to the book. I do want to talk about the latter half of the book, and there's like a big reveal in it because the first time jump that happens in the book goes from when she's 17 to like 25, and they don't see each other for a really long time, and there's a really like pivotal reason why. And so I'm just going to give people like 10 or 15 seconds to shut this down right now and pause it until you've read the book, because it's going to get spoilery and you're not going to want to know what this like twist is. It's going to kind of not ruin the book, but like it's a pretty big reveal. So let me just give you a second to shut it down. Okay, we're gonna start to really rip it wide open here. Okay, so AJ and Noah don't see each other for like 7 or 8 years. He just disappears. They have this unbelievable summer doing all this improvisational training. They become best friends. They have a big kiss, and then he fades away into the sunset and she can't get in touch with him. The aunt ends up being super rude to her when she tries to like find out where he is and how to get in touch with him. And this is back when we still had video stores. So it's not like she could text him. She didn't have a cell phone number, like nothing like that. She's devastated. And then she has to do her whole senior year of high school wondering where the hell he is and what's going on. And she, goes to college and gets the SNL gig and all this stuff. And it's just like things are progressing, but she's still like thinking about him all the time. And when they finally do get together, she eventually gets it out of him that he has been diagnosed with having Huntington's disease, which his mom had died from. And she had met his mom when she was hospitalized and dealing with her demise. And so basically, Noah has decided to just drop her and just kind of like cut ties with her in what he thinks is a selfless move.
Merciful. He thinks he's being merciful.
Yes, he does. Because he gets it. Okay, so the crazy part about this is like they're 17 and 21, and as a 21-year-old, he's like, she's gonna fall in love with me. We're gonna be together forever. Like, this isn't, how it is with other girls. And then she's going to end up having to take care of me, and I'm going to die when I'm like 50. And it's going to be a really cruel life, and she's going to be left alone. And so I'm just going to make the decision for her and just pretend it didn't mean anything to me and not see her for years upon years. And that's kind of like how they find each other when the reboot of the show is about to occur. And I I had a hard time with it. I'm not going to lie. I was really frustrated with him. I get that she was only 17 and hadn't finished school, but like there were a lot of other ways that he could have gone about that. And so that was like really frustrating. And I'm just wondering what you thought about that, because I there were other, he could have communicated to her like, hey, we can't be together, I'm too old for you, you're still finishing high school, sorry. And instead he like does it in a very cruel way, and also has the aunt in on it so that she's cruel to AJ as well. And I was like, what the hell?
I think reading it as women in our 40s who have lived a lot of life and have seen a lot of pain and have seen how you can move through that, it did feel cruel reading it, but it also felt true to what a 21-year-old boy would do. Like
Yeah.
when you haven't had a lot of loss, it's hard to imagine an individual loss not devastating a person. As you get older and older and older, and loss is a more regular part of your life, it's not that it doesn't gut you every time, you just have more resilience. But I think at 21, he was like, this will end her. And so I'm going to end it before she has to feel that level of pain and devastation. The fact that he had a co-conspirator in their mentor who was on the show that AJ idolized, that to me was actually worse than him vanishing, because he asked for help from the person that made her feel from invisible to visible. And then she, the aunt, starts shutting her out very coldly, very callously. And AJ is left sort of spinning and not knowing what to do. And she has no choice but to attempt eventually to move forward, because she honestly thinks she's never going to see him again.
I was wondering if at any point Emma Brodie thought about reversing the gender roles and having
Oh,
the female character be the one with the famous family, the one that gets the diagnosis and all of that. And if she ever played around with that idea, or if it was always like the brooding, handsome, like Noah gave off like Jacob Elordi vibes to me, like
okay.
in the book.
Our dear friend Erica, who's a regular listener of this show, said she was also picturing Jacob Elordi. I was picturing Noah Centineo.
Oh, he'd be really good too.
And not just
Huh.
because his name is Noah.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with that. It was about it's very Peter Kavinsky, like
Yeah.
the
And also they're
devotion.
both described as like tall, dark, and handsome, and you're like, yeah, okay. I know a few of those.
Yeah.
Um, but I just wondered if at any point she had thought about having the girl be the one that's pushing the guy away, and also what that would look like if it had gone down that way. Like, how would AJ have handled that? You know what I mean? And I was just curious, like maybe like how she decided that, or like, you know, whatever. And I also have to say, like, going back to how Noah does handle it in the book, when they get older, he still does not give her the benefit of like having a conversation about it. He's just like, this isn't a conversation. I already made my decision. I'm not putting you through this. Like, that's it. And like, the more he dug in and did that, the more I was like, you are wasting what little time you have. Are you joking? Like, it's clear that this is never going to go away. Like, it's always going to hurt. And so, like, why aren't you at least enjoying the time that you have together? And he doesn't let her weigh in on it at all, even when he's older and supposedly more mature. And I that was really hard for me to deal with. And like, honestly, if I had been AJ, like that would have been such a huge turnoff for me. I would have been that would have been really hard for me to like move on from that. And it just shows how connected they are, that she still is like willing to put up with that crap, and like also has him on like a short leash of like, I don't really believe that you're going to follow through with this, and like, I'm going to see how it plays out. And it's like, oh my god.
There's a side story during this New York adulthood chapter in which AJ is actually engaged to someone
Mm.
else. And she cares for him and knows that he's wonderful, and he puts up with all of her idiosyncrasies and her drinking and all these different elements of how she tries to cope with the stress that is her SNL life. And eventually, again, spoiler alert if you decided to continue listening, she breaks up with him. And he says, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that she has never gotten over Noah, has never been able to release him, has never been able to really give her whole heart. And when she eventually reveals to Noah that she ended the engagement, you can tell that he's like, oh crap. Because as long as it seemed like she was moving on, he could continue to have that hardline stance of, this is how it is, I'm never speaking about it, too bad. And then when she blew up her romantic life in order to make space for the possibility of them getting back together again, he had to sort of look in the mirror and be like, is this really how I'm going to handle this?
Mhm.
Or am I going to allow her to actually see the whole me and understand why I made that decision when we were young, why I've kept her at arm's length all this time? And, the final third, I would say, of this book, I felt was the most moving and the most impressive from concept to execution. AJ convinces Noah that they should do a short theater run, 12 nights of this improvisation written by the great aunt and her partner that was never finished. So you can only do the first bit from the page and the rest you have to make up. And since improv is the core of their relationship together, she knew that she wanted to push him to do this with her so that they could act out the conversations that they've honestly never had. And she started doing it on stage in a way that was making him deeply upset. But he was committed to the bit and knew that he couldn't, break from the scene or it would ruin what they were doing and what the audience was, so moved by. And every night it gets more and more and more intense, both from her end and his end. The whole time I was reading it, I thought, where did this idea come from? How did Emma
It
Brodie
is
hatch this?
it is an award-winning move. It's brilliant. The different endings that she comes up with for this play that they're putting on, and the way that it symbolizes different aspects of their relationship, of his diagnosis, of how it could unfold over time. Like, they're playing with like future hypotheticals. Like, it is, I just was sitting there and like, writers talk about endings being like one of the more difficult things to write, like in general, because you're like, what do I want? How do I want these characters to end up? How do I want the reader to feel when they finished reading? All these things. It's very hard to decide what the end game is. She came up with like a dozen different ones and wrote all of them and had them acted out. When I finished the book is like, you see whether or not they're together. You see where they're at in their lives. There isn't another time jump from when they finish the play,
Mm-hmm.
which I kind of thought there might be because there had already been so many. So they finish the play and like you see what their lives are or how they're going to progress or not once the play is over. And I was like, she gave herself the ability to end it like that because she had already written out 12 different courses that this could take earlier in the book. And it's like, it's probably one of those, but who knows? Like, you know, and it like, oh God, it was just so clever and like well done and moving and creative. And I don't understand. Like, my brain does not, I could never come up with something like that. I just would never.
I
Oh
thought
my
that it was
gosh.
so brilliant. And also, this is a mega spoiler. So if you really, really, really don't want to know things, just please seek ahead at least 60 seconds. They're doing all of these role plays of, what might happen, but it's directly correlated to conversations they should have been having. And at the end of the final performance, AJ is really just hoping like she's clinched his heart for good. And he walks away from her. And she is on the floor, devastated. Like, I can't believe that this didn't work. I was positive that this would be the way we would figure out a way forward together. And then as the reader, you're like, shit, I can't believe this is how it's going to go down. And then he reemerges. And it reminded me exactly of the ending of one of my favorite movies, which is called Love and Basketball, where the two main characters are playing a game of one-on-one, allegedly for their hearts. And the woman loses and is like devastated because she thought this is how she's going to win him back. And Quincy McCall just looks her dead in the eye and goes, double or nothing.
Mm.
And I was like, oh my God, it's the Quincy McCall moment at the end of this
Mhm.
book where you're positive that it's over. You're already crying. And then,
Because he's so stubborn the entire book. He is unwavering in the decision that he makes like 16 years earlier. Just never, he's like, nope, this isn't, I'm not doing this. What a book. Holy moly.
I will also say, and I've talked about this with a few friends who have read it, I felt that this first half of this book was slow. I stuck with it because I had read her previous book and loved it, and I love her writing, and I had known from the reviews that it was great. I was saying to friends when I was reading it, gosh, I'm spending so much time with this book, and I feel like I'm just not moving through it at the speed that I normally would with other books. I think that because it's so singular, as I was saying before, the improv setting, the Comic-Con settings, if that's not your universe, you really have to pay attention because you're learning about how everything works and what the norms are. Almost like when you read a fantasy book in the beginning and all the world building is happening and you really have to pay attention to who's who and what the rules are. It's slow the first half. And then once you understand the big reveal, you're all the way in. And then when you reach this improv, the 12 nights of improv at the end, you will not be able to put it down. Like, you've got to stick with it. It does not read like a fast paced romance or family drama, or it's just not like that. It's slow to start. You've got to get all the way in and understand all the backstory. And then the payoff at the end is so huge.
I feel differently. My favorite parts of the book were the beginning and the end. And I'm a middle girl, like through and through. Like the middle is usually always my favorite. But when they were getting to know each other, and it was like the first 100 pages of the book is like almost a young adult novel, right? Because they're 17 and 21. They're learning about improv. She hasn't finished high school yet. You're learning all about their families and like why they are the way they are. I love that stuff. And then the middle, when they're so career driven, was like a little bit of a slog for me. And then when they start acting together at the end, I was like, I couldn't turn the page fast enough. So I actually found the middle to be
Oh, interesting.
like when they're doing the reboot of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Aeronauticals. I didn't love that part. And then when they are kind of she's like engaged or whatever, like but then when they started acting together in the play, I was like, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, different strokes for different folks. Everyone needs to read this.
Agreed.
Guys, girls, all of them, everybody, the
Agreed.
theys, the thems, get
Agreed.
your hands on it. It's time. Book of the summer. I'm just going to say it. I would be shocked if I read something between now and September that tops this. I'm just going to say it. Maybe I will. I would love to find something that I loved as much or more than this, and I will tell you on the pod if that happens. But I really don't see how.
Those are fighting words since you haven't read the new Carly Fortune.
It's not going to be better than you really think the
How
new
do you
Carly
know?
Fortune. It's just
How do
not
you
going to
know
be as
until we do it?
clever. I just feel like it's not going to be as clever. You know what I mean? Like
That's what
it's going to be good. It's going to be like her books are always really good and I really enjoy them, but this was so unusual. Such a different type of love story. And also like usually when you read about a couple that are like, you know, over a 20-year span of time, it's like, oh, they've been dating and they broke up and then they got back together and then they broke up. There isn't any of that in this book. They're just like really never together. Like they're like this forbidden fruit kind of situation. And it's like so good. It's so good.
it
So
is so
yeah, I
good.
think this is my book of the summer. I'm saying it now.
Okay.
We'll see what
Okay.
happens.
Let's talk about what we're reading now. I'm
Yeah,
reading
let's do
something
it.
that I don't know if you know that I've been reading this. I'm about to reveal it to you. I am reading
I saw on Goodreads.
Heartbreak
Yes.
is the national anthem
Is
by
that
Rob
your copy?
Sheffield. Sure is.
Oh, great.
So,
Lucky me.
so I love Rob Sheffield. He's been a music writer for Rolling Stone for over 20 years. He's unbelievably talented. Two of his memoirs are two of my favorite books I have ever read. The first is called Love is a Mixtape, and the second is called Talking to Girls About Duran Duran. If you haven't read them, get on it.
I have the second one. I haven't read it yet, but I read Love is a Mixtape probably 15 years ago.
I loved it, both of them. And I just really appreciate his way of expressing his love of music and both the technical elements as well as just how it makes him feel. So this book came out actually last year, and it, in my opinion, got very little fanfare. I knew about it because I follow him and I pay attention to what he's promoting. But if you didn't, I'm not sure that you really would have seen it. And the couple of times I saw it on tables at bookstores, it just didn't seem like it was getting a ton of promotion or shelf space. It's really interesting because he is a hardcore Swiftie personally, in addition to all of the coverage he does for Rolling Stone. And since we will likely not do an episode on this, I just wanted to read two little quick passages to you. So one of them says, there are many people who are not fans of Taylor Swift, who, for lack of a better collective noun, I will designate normal people. Some normal people seem to like her fine for a song or two, others don't. Many think she's 9 Inch Nails on a 10-mile chalkboard. These people have never had their lives ruined by a Taylor Swift song. You know what? They've chosen wisely. I envy them. They sleep soundly at night, not even wondering whether "'Tis the Damn Season" happens in the same car as "Treacherous," or if Dorothea is about the heroine of Middlemarch. Oh, the agonies and ecstasies of being a Taylor Swift fan. It's not like the other fan experiences I've had. Why do I hear myself read so mercilessly in these songs? How the hell did a 20-year-old write the hook, I feel you forgot me like I used to feel you breathe? Why does my friend in her 40s text me to ask, I just ugly cried on the way to goddamn Target? How can she write a song like Happiness? It so perfectly captures what it feels like to be middle-aged and divorced. She's never been married. She's in her 30s. Is she a good witch or just a witch? Which I thought was like a hilarious explanation.
She's the songwriter of our lives. It's like Carole King and then Taylor. But that's like how it is. Like, I just don't know anyone doing it like her. Like, I'd put her, Bob Dylan, and Carole King like in a special little VIP section. Yeah, she's a poet, she's a songwriter, she is a storyteller, she's an entertainer. I mean, she's it. She is capital I it. I can't wait to read that. I can't wait to just nod along, because I remember when I read Mixtape, I was like, wow, great job encapsulating the feelings that I feel when I listen to music, or when I got my heart stomped on, or you know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
he's
yes.
just so good.
This is also another part I thought you would enjoy. So he talks about how he gets invited to these preview listening parties for journalists, and he gets invited to the one for 1989. And he says, I sat there and wondered, am I listening to my favorite artist blow up her career? That's exactly what I was listening to. She did not want to be Taylor Swift anymore. It was pure self-sabotage. Nobody was asking her for this. After Red, the world was hoping for Red 2, 50 Shades Redder, Red 3, Revenge of the Scarf, or Red 4, Maple Latte Massacre. Nobody sane would have advised her, you know what you should do next? Make an album that sounds nothing like Red, but exactly like Erasure or the Pet Shop Boys. Nothing about 1989 made sense. Red was a formula she could have milked forever. The country pop rock mix that so many artists have spent worthy careers trying to reach. And she was ditching it now? The songs were great. They were Swift songs, but each one made it harder to comprehend why she was depeshing her entire mode. There was something wistful about hearing it. I missed her already, but there was a new girl she wanted to be.
Mm-hmm. Really good at reinventing herself. When 1989 first came out, I was like, what's happening right now? And then everything started blowing up on the radio, and I had friends coming up to me being like, I get it now. I get why you're a Swiftie. And I'm like, what? I'm like, 1989 is helping you understand why I'm a Swiftie? That doesn't make any sense. And Red, I go back and forth between saying Folklore and Red are my favorite album. And like, he's right. 1989 is like a pop album, and Red is like an indie folk album. And so it's, that was like a tough jump, I would say. But like, she got so many new fans along the way, and like the Swiftie community just like exploded as a result of that. And she was having so much freaking fun with that album and was like, this is exactly what I wanted to put out. And it's like when she teamed up with Jack Antonoff and like all these things, that it was like, yeah, I'm along for the ride. Like, I'm in, like, I'll do it. Um, which is not how I felt about Reputation when it came out. I'm just gonna say I am not a rep girly. Everybody knows that knows me. But anyway, okay, I'm reading Strangers, which we're gonna do an episode about.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not going to like get into the nitty gritties, but what I will say is it's a memoir about a marriage disintegrating during COVID with two very affluent, successful people. And they have 3 children, ages 12 to 17. And this woman literally gets the carpet pulled out from underneath her in the most abrasive, brutal, unusual, cold hearted way. And it sounds like it would be horrible to read, but I'm actually like ripping through it and I can't really explain that. I'm having a really hard time understanding like why I'm so riveted by this when like I actually want to punch this guy's lights out. But like, it's an unusual book. I feel like people are not necessarily. I was trying to explain this book to somebody the other day. I think I was trying to explain it to my brother because he, again, was very taken aback by the cover. It's like her wound is wide open for everybody to explore. And it's like a very common thing to get divorced, but not for it to end this way and be so one sided. And people get cheated on all the time, right? But like, this was like it, that's just like the start of it. You know what I mean? Um, and the fact that it happens during COVID. And then the other part of it is like, she's not famous. Like, if a celebrity came out with like, here's the undoing of my marriage, and like, can you believe this? It would be a very different kind of book. And this is like, this could happen to anybody. Like, can you believe how blindsided I got? What a jerk. Like, and that's like very refreshing for some reason that somebody is willing to like put this all out there. And she's never written a book before. And I'm just like, the pages are just flying. And like, I can't, I'm hoping that I become a little more eloquent in how I describe this book, because right now I'm flabbergasted that I like it.
I read this book actually while we were on vacation together in California, and I felt like I was getting slapped across the face with every turn of the page. Every time I thought her husband could not possibly do something more deplorable, he did. That her longtime friends in her community, who had been with her at kids' soccer games and tennis matches and happy hours at the country club, all the things, the ways that some of them were responding to her. And some of my favorite parts are her being just deeply honest about how just shat on she felt by people who couldn't possibly imagine that the despair she was describing was true, or that the betrayal she was describing was true. And that it's like learning over and over again that the people that you thought you trusted just don't believe you, and that you have to figure out how to move through the world, basically losing friends every time you have the conversation. And there are moments where it's hard to feel sympathy for her because she's so affluent and she has unlimited resources, and she's kind of complaining about life on the vineyard versus life in Manhattan. And there are times where you're like, ma'am, like, please be quiet. But I think when she describes the emotional destruction that he caused in this process, you can't help but just want to give her a hug and be like, you do not deserve this. Nobody deserves this. And I think I can't imagine the bravery it took to decide to do this and to do press And she was on the Oprah podcast. This is not like she's doing small media opportunities. So millions of people are reading her story, hearing about her divorce. I would imagine in some ways the reaction from the public might be more hurtful than what it was actually living through this dissolution, because you are sharing the darkest, hardest, most heartbreaking part of your life. And I just am in awe that she was willing to do this and open herself to all of that, both support but also criticism.
Yeah. And like there's just a shock value to it that I think is what's propelling me to like read it faster, cuz I, you know, the destruction of a marriage is like not something that would be high on my list. First of all, I'm not huge on marriage. Second of all, I'm a child of divorce. Third of all, my parents between them have 6 siblings. There's only one that's never been divorced, and some of them have been divorced more than once. So it's just like, yeah, divorce all over in my life, everywhere, all the
Yeah.
time. Do I
Yeah.
really want to read about it? So like the fact that I want to like finish this is like, I think pretty telling.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. Looking forward to finding out what the hell happens.
Yes. Well, listeners, if you want to see the list of all the books that we discussed today, you can join us on Instagram at Plans Are Booked. That's where we share everything that we chat about during each episode. If you would like to write to us with feedback about this episode or anything else that you've liked, you can write to us at plansarebbooked@gmail.com. If you liked what you heard today, we'd be very grateful if you would leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really helps people find the show.
And until next time, our plans are booked.